Today's Reddit story comes from the subreddit Vent, and it's titled, I started buying food and drinks that my sister-in-law and brother-in-law specifically didn't like, so they'll stop eating and drinking all my stuff. My wife and I had just bought a house after having a baby. It happened to be a house 5 houses down from where she grew up. Actually, the lady who lived there had been talking about moving out, so we bought it as is after doing a walkthrough with one of my family members who was a contractor. Anyways, both of our jobs weren't very well paying, but we managed to make things work. We hardly had extra money for anything after bills, baby stuff, food, etc. My wife's sister and her fiance lived with her parents. They were always coming over. It became such an inconvenience. They got to the point where they would just use our key to come over to check up on things when we weren't home. Initially, we told them it was for emergencies or if we weren't home and my mother-in-law needed something for the baby if she was watching her for the day. Then they could use the key to come over and grab it. Okay, completely fine. But after a while, it just turned into, oh, we were just checking up on things and would come over and watch TV in our living room, eat and drink our food, etc. Sometimes I'll even get up an hour before work and clean up my living room so I could come home to a fresh, clean house. Well, my sister-in-law worked 5-hour days, and my brother-in-law didn't work Monday to Friday steady, so his days off were all over the place. Sometimes I'll come home to the TV on, one of my frozen pizzas gone, and the box on the table, empty soda cans, and the recliner still in the reclining position. Yes, they're the type that are too lazy to push the recliner down when they get up and instead slide their legs to the outside of the recliner and stand up while leaving it up. Anyways, as mentioned, after paying bills and everything, we might have an extra $50 for the entire week or even 2 weeks. We order pizza sometimes on a Friday night every 2 or 3 weeks, and within 5 minutes of the pizza being delivered, they would knock on the door to come see the baby. And always say in the surprised expression, "Oh, you got pizza? It smells so good." And then would each immediately grab a slice or two. Literally every time. My wife and I started to laugh about it actually and see if we can time it down to the second. Also, I buy 1 case of soda per month so I could take one to work occasionally or have one with dinner. I really had to plan these out. Sure, maybe this sounds crazy, but when one doesn't have a lot of money, even the slightest looking forward to a can of soda can make a day just a little bit better. One day, I was about to grab my last can of Coke, but thought, nah, I'll have it when I come home. It was even pushed to the back of the middle shelf. I go to work, come home. It's hot as F. I'm tired. I walked in and my brother-in-law is sitting in my chair watching my TV, lights on, radio blasting in the dining room, and he's sitting there with my last effing can of Coke in his hand, happier than the pig in the crap. I just about exploded. I talked to my wife later and said I was so sick of this crap. So, since my brother-in-law and sister-in-law were known picky eaters and only drink 1 or 2 kinds of soda, I started getting the craziest stuff. I would get a case of Diet Cranberry Ginger Ale or Barq's Cream Soda Root Beer, knowing 100% they wouldn't drink it. Then, for our next pizza order, I got a Sicilian deep dish, large cut, all pepperoni, half mushroom and half anchovies. Wouldn't you know it? They come strolling right over 5 minutes after it's delivered. I'll never forget sister-in-law comes in and goes, "Ooh, pizza? I didn't know you what's that weird smell?" And just as she said this, I'm walking in the dining room with 2 plates, one for my wife and one for me. I opened the box and put the anchovy pizza on my plate and mushroom on hers. My sister-in-law goes, "Oh, why would you get a pizza no one likes?" And then I said, "Sarah likes mushrooms, and I was in the mood for anchovy, and we both like pepperoni. Who else would I worry about?" She then goes, "Ew, gross." And then went into our refrigerator, which didn't have anything ready made in it. There was chicken defrosting and bare essentials like milk, eggs, and cheese. I distinctly remember this because we were planning on grocery shopping the next day and our refrigerator was bare as F. She got so annoyed and said, "Well, I guess I'll go eat with what mom's made," and had the biggest sour face on her as she left. A couple of days later, we were all sitting at the dining room table playing a board game on a Sunday. I go to the refrigerator and grab myself a Diet Cranberry Ginger Ale. My sister-in-law then makes another comment like, "Ew, who drinks Diet Cranberry Ginger Ale?" Then I said, "Well, Sarah doesn't drink soda. Lily isn't old enough to drink soda. And then there's me. So what it matters what I buy. I'm not shopping for the whole block." Complete silence. Before anyone asked, no, they wouldn't throw us any cash for the food or drink. No, we never went over there to eat. No, they never brought anything over for us to eat. Wow. I can understand why it's under the venting, but to me, it sounds more like, OP, this should be in petty revenge. Because you got rid of your sister-in-law and brother-in-law's freeloading butt out of your house, basically. I cannot believe that they came over and had the audacity to say, "Ew, who would order pizza that no one likes?" Maybe people who actually lives in that house? Hello? Oh, my goodness. I am so happy that OP has done this. Yes, it is passive aggressive. I think he should have talked to the brother-in-law and sister-in-law, but at the same time, based on what has been said in this story, I don't think brother-in-law and sister-in-law are completely aware of boundaries, because they just walk in with the key that was given to them for emergencies or when the mom needs something from the house. Not for you to freeload into their house whenever they're not in there. My goodness, they are so taking advantage of this whole situation. I mean, what? They got sick and tired of staying at mom's house. Oh, let's just go over to OP's house. It's free. We can be alone, do whatever we want. Really? You're living rent-free at your mom's house. And then now you have the audacity to go over to your sister's house and try to freeload off of your sister and her family? Wow. So I think this story should be in petty revenge and then entitle people and I guess vent since it is in the vent thing. But yeah. I cannot believe the audacity of the brother-in-law and sister-in-law. Had the nerve to say, ew. And I'm glad that OP has done what he has done. And I'm sure he also talked to his wife about their behavior. And I'm glad that at least the wife is saying, all right, was totally cool with it. I'm pretty sure she probably felt frustrated too. So good for you, OP. Anyways, let's see what some of the commenters have to say about this. First commenter says, do they still come over and hope for food, or are they coming over less now the food has been gone? Cheeky mofos though, especially knowing you had hardly any money for those things. OP responds by saying, it stopped after a while. I think part of it was because we just got a new house, so they thought it would be like a fun apartment for them or something. Yeah, that's what I thought too. A follow-up comment says, I'm glad to hear they stopped. Are you back to having what you like again? OP responds, yeah, we don't even live there anymore. All right, so this happened like before. Let's see. Another commenter says, what got me was when sister-in-law said, I guess we'll go eat what mom made. What about making your own food? Are your arms broken? OP responds, yeah. Looking back, it was so sickening. For the record, they still get crap handed to them on a silver platter. And honestly, parents want to give their kids tons of crap? Fine. I hope I can do it one day for my kids. It's the fact that they act like they worked so hard for what they were just handed to them. Yeah, it does sound like that. Another commenter says, top-notch passive-aggressive. OP responds, who, me or them? Well, I was weak back then and had trouble with confrontation. Not so much anymore. It's worth mentioning that they are the type that when someone tells them something, constructive criticism or otherwise, they immediately jump to the conclusion that people don't like them. Yeah, this is... Sister-in-law and brother-in-law are just like, out there. They're not in reality. Yeah. Another commenter says, this is a sign of emotional immaturity. OP responded by saying, yeah, it was rough being a 24-year-old new father and husband so close to a family, literally, that I was brand new in. Honestly, anyone who reads this, never voluntarily move somewhere that's blocks within your in-laws. It is the most frustrating, overbearing, intrusive crap one could think of. Remember Everybody Loves Raymond? Yeah, that show is no joke. Can't go outside or do anything in private. Messing around outside someone's always stops by and it turns to a 20 minutes to hours of being with them. And there's nothing wrong with being close to family. Don't get me wrong. But there's a point where it becomes unhealthy and wears on your psyche. Completely agree, OP. I'm glad that you no longer live there and that this happened many years ago. But they're still family. And you know what? You go on with your life and you do you, while brother-in-law and sister-in-law do them. Good for you. Anyways, what do you guys think of this story? Do you think the passive-aggressive way that OP handled it was the best way to approach it? Or do you think it was kind of also immature and he should have just went up to the brother-in-law and sister-in-law and be like, hey, this is totally not cool. Anyways, let me know in the comments section. And remember, if you like these types of stories, to continue to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys later.